I have to say it looks pretty badass with that exhaust. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at this generator shed enclosure I built over the last several months. Finally had time to put it together and assemble it out here. I'm excited to show you the ins and outs. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. Here's the enclosure all opened up. It's housing our 7,000 watt Champion inverter generator. I have that converted to propane. It works really well. I have other videos on my channel on this inverter generator. Check them out. So I did a lot of research and watched a ton of videos on generator sheds enclosures. And these types of sheds are a dime a dozen. A lot of people are building these, and I took a lot of the same concepts and ideas. Tried to develop a few new things, thinking about some of the things I wanted to improve on the ones I saw. One of the great ideas that people are using is rock wool. This is Comfort Board 80. This is really hard to get, but the benefits of using it are tremendous. It's fire rated to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And these generator shed enclosures will get warm, so even with the right ventilation, you want to make sure you're using the correct type of insulation to protect the resin sheds from melting. I tried to focus on ventilation on my build. I'm using a 20 by 30 grate right there with a screen built in. I'll show you more of the details on the build later on in the video. This is just showing you kind of the preview and how it runs, but you can see I have all that space there for airflow, and it works really well as far as moving lots of air. I'm also using a 16-inch fan. This is like an attic fan for ventilation. I have that tied into one of the outputs here on the generator, along with my 240 30 amp out. Again, this runs on propane. I have it modified for dual fuel. Check out my other videos on the conversion for this generator. Let's take a closer look at the other side of the generator in the back. Here's the side with the exhaust. The louver is open when the generator has power. And on the bottom, I have a Zombie Box exhaust kit. I purchased this on Amazon. I'll leave links below for all these parts. It's a great way to get your generator shed up and running quick and easy. And on the back side, here's my pass-through. That's for passing through my propane and electric lines. All right, so let's get this started up and I'll show you how it runs. Here's the propane line. And that goes right over to my quick connect. Just really easy to hook up. So as you can see, it's a pretty easy setup. You're just passing through both the propane and electric lines. All right, let's get this generator fired up. Let's turn on the propane. The next step is just to go ahead and prime the regulator. All right, we're good to go. Let's start her up. Okay, I just started. It's cold today. It's about 15 degrees Fahrenheit. The real feels about 8 degrees with the wind chill. All right, we'll go ahead and close her up. Okay, just want to mention one thing. I built this box with the intention of keeping the generator outside and just having easy access to it, easy setup and so forth. It wasn't my plan to really quiet down the generator. I know a lot of guys want to build these enclosures because they want to make the generators more quiet. They're in residential settings, they're in cities and so forth, and they can't have loud generators. But here, Northwest Vermont, we're in a rural setting. You know, there's farms, fields, neighbors are pretty far out. And when the power goes out, I hear all the other automatic generators coming on. So I'm not worried about the sound here. It is much quieter. I'll show you some readings now. Go ahead and close her up. Let's go over here. This should be about the same. 84, or it was before. Again, about the same here on the side. So it's a few decibels more quiet. Again, not the reason why I built the shed enclosure, but it is nice to quiet down a little bit. Here we'll walk and talk back here so you can hear me a little bit better. So I did put the generator shed out from the house. It's at least 5 feet out because that's best practice. I want to keep it away from utilities. I want to keep the airflow away from the house. It's blowing not towards the windows. It's following code. You'll notice that in a lot of these videos that people do in the generator sheds, I'm not trying to criticize, I'm just trying to point out, sometimes they put these generator sheds right against their houses, against buildings and so forth. Not the best practice. You definitely want to keep your generator shed away. If that generator wasn't in an enclosure, I wouldn't put it right against the house. I'd put it, 5-10 feet out. The generator has been running for about 15 or 20 minutes now, so it's starting to warm up. I want to show you what the temperatures are like inside and outside of the box. Here's the zombie box exhaust. Go back further. It's pretty cold out too, being 15 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, let's do the inside. Warm. Do this pipe right here. Generator itself. I can feel the heat in here. Man, it feels kind of nice on a cold day. I also want to test that exhaust, the muffler pipe. I want to see it on another thermometer because I'm not quite sure the infrared or the laser is reading that correctly. Alright, so that's getting pretty hot. I wouldn't want to touch that. Another option, you could wrap that in fiberglass, but I'm never going to be touching that. Let's go ahead and look at what the temperature is in the back wall on the bottom near the walk wall. So the 300s on the shield for the exhaust, and then the back wall, less than 100. All right, guys, let's talk about security and theft and so forth, because whenever you put something nice outside, there's always a tendency that someone's going to steal your generator, where it might be. So I've done a couple things here with securing the generator, obviously locking the box, and I have a lock inside. If someone's going to steal this generator, they're going to steal it. I can try to slow them down a little bit. I can make it harder for them. We have cameras, we have good neighbors, and we're trying to use best practice here. I think the convenience of having this generator in an enclosure far outweighs losing it. All right, so let's shut things down. Super easy to do on propane, right? Check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 seconds, it's off with propane. So I will say, I think it's best practice once you do shut off the generator that you open the box up and just let things cool off as much as possible before shutting it down or closing up the box for good. In the next part of this video, I want to show you some of the highlights, tips, and tricks I use to build the generator shed enclosure. Every great project starts with a great foundation, so earlier this fall I went ahead and poured a 3x5 concrete slab. Later in the fall, I started to work on modifying the shed assembly. In the next couple clips, I use fire-rated expandable foam. This is useful for helping to seal in all the new cuts as well as increasing structural integrity. I decided to go ahead and paint most of the components because I wanted to add an extra layer of protection against rust. In this photo you can see I glued in a screen to help keep out bugs. I designed and 3D printed attachments to help secure the screen. In order to power the fan, I attached a metal box and completed the wiring. With all the components installed, it was time to bring the project out to the shed for assembly. Before reassembling the shed and adding insulation, I also worked on the generator. I had to make sure it fit inside the generator box. This meant I had to move the propane regulator from the back to the side of the generator. This was also a good time to go ahead and cut a horse stall mat 2 size for the bottom of the enclosure. Here's a look at the reassembly of the generator shed before adding the rock wool insulation. At the time of assembling and making this video, purchasing rock wool comfort board insulation was nearly impossible due to a nationwide shortage. Luckily, I was able to find some comfort board at a Rona store up in Quebec. This opportunity provided for a nice little solo road trip to Canada. Alright, outside of Rona, I had to drive to Canada to get rock wool, but I'm here, let's go get it. Having procured the comfort board, the project was back on track. I'm really impressed with comfort board. It's a great product to work with. Here I just used an old bread knife to cut the comfort board. 2 pieces of the comfort board fit almost perfectly. Just trim the back, we'll be all set to go. To fasten the comfort board to the shed enclosure walls, I used 2.5-inch screws with fender washers. Now that the comfort board has been installed, it's time to work on the generator. I removed the spark arrestor and installed the standoff pipe. Alright, just a slight modification here. I went ahead and pulled off this shield just a little bit, enough to move it so I could insert this part of the exhaust underneath the shield so it seats better on the existing exhaust. Alright, just put the generator in. It fits very snug. I'll close the doors and show you in a minute. Had to take off the back handle. It's right against the rock wall. Pretty close, about 1 inch between the rock wall and the front door and the generator. Just a side note, because of those tight clearances between the door and the generator, I have to use 90-degree plugs. Alright, got the muffler hooked up, the zombie box. It's just finger tight right now because I'm going to take apart the whole box in a few minutes and start transporting it outside to its final location. Now we had some beautiful weather around the holidays, so I took advantage of getting this installed outside. I had to take apart the shed because you have to start with the base. This was a trade-off in working on the shed inside, not having to work outside in the elements. And here's some footage of the shed put back together. Of course, this is shot at night because this is the night before I had to return back to work. This was all shot over our holiday or early winter break. The last thing I want to mention is that this generator does interface with an interlock kit on our main panel, so I can control the circuits on the house that I want to have on when the generator is running. All right, guys, going to finish up the video now. This is the generator enclosure I built. Pretty happy with it. I am looking at doing some accessories. I'm hoping that you would help me out. Perhaps leave a comment below. Let me know some of the accessories that you would put in if you built a generator enclosure or you had some ideas. Definitely thinking about doing lights, perhaps some kind of temperature monitor and so forth. But I know you guys have lots of good ideas. So leave me a comment below. Let me know what I could do for accessories. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Come on back for more videos. Take care. Have a great day.